What was your earliest HBCU memory?
My earliest memory. So just to give some background, I grew up in Grambling, Louisiana, so an HBCU town. So that was my everyday experience. And then growing up in a household with Eddie and Doris Robinson, compounds that experience. So my earliest memory, oh gosh, is probably just attending football games. I mean, I was at the first Bayou Classic. I think I've tried to remember, I've only missed two or three, two that I can recall, but I think it's been three. So having attended 45 of the 48 Bayou Classics, I mean, Bayou Classic is more like a holiday for me. It's like as big as Christmas for me than anything, because that was our plan for the year. That's probably the biggest thing. I got new clothes to go to Bayou Classic, not just for the game, but I mean, pajamas and everything, because we were staying in a nice hotel and, having all these activities. So that's probably my earliest memory because I was going to Bayou Classic at such an early age.
What or who inspired you to attend an HBCU?
Yeah, well, again, growing up in a college town, it was just embedded in me. It was never a thought to go. And I don't know that at that time that we even, or I even thought about HBCU over PWI. I just went with what I knew. So obviously Grambling was on my list. Spelman was my top pick though. I got accepted to 4 HBCUs. I didn't even apply to any PWIs. So Spelman was my first choice, but now as a parent, I can understand the whole financial commitment there is, and Spelman wasn't offering any money. So I got persuaded to stay at Grambling. I had a full academic scholarship, some other, smaller scholarships. And then at the time, I don't know if they still do it, but Grambling used to offer tuition reimbursements for children of employees. And so my grandfather was probably 47 years in as an employee at the university. So we topped out at the range of tuition reimbursement so I could get. So I was actually getting refunds to go to school. In hindsight, though, I can't imagine having gone anywhere else.
How would you best describe your experience at Grambling State? Just in your own personal experience, but also the legacy that your family carries there.
Yeah, so one great thing is I didn't live at home at any time during my experience. So I spent the first 2 years in dorms on campus. So I would urge anybody to do that, because I think you get the biggest experience by, the dorm life and being around people, being on your own. Even though I could walk home, I lived that close. I always, lived away from home, either on campus and eventually in apartments with friends, which was really nice too. So, but I had a really good rounded experience. And I'd say that of the experience my daughter got going to Hampton as well. I mean, being a part of different clubs, student leadership, Greek life. There's so many different things for everybody. You don't have to have the same interests. And then, I've seen instances where students have interest in something and the school doesn't have it, but there's an opportunity for them to create something. So it's really an environment that cultivates the whole person. I think you get the support from not just your peers, you get it from the cafeteria workers, your professors, and everybody in between. It's the kind of environment where it feels like everybody wants to see you win. I think of it as like an extension of your family that you didn't know you needed, really. And then it's a lifetime membership, because even after you graduate, then you have that alumni bond even beyond that, and not just among the alumni at your school, but HBCU graduates, period. I mean, I've been stopped at a traffic light because a Southernite saw my Grambling tags and rolled down the window to talk, smack, friendly banter. So, I get stopped in the airport if I have on a Grambling shirt. I will run into other Gramblingites. I will run into, Southernites or people that went to Jackson State. The last trip I was on, somebody from Alabama State was telling me about his experience and how, Grambling whooped up on them every year that he was there. So it's just this bond that's like none other.
How'd your experience working with the athletic department and, of course, the Eddie Robinson Museum shape, I guess, your professional career?
I think I've taken what I've learned professionally and been able to apply that with things at the museum and with the athletic department. There's a lot of I've been blessed to be able to help the athletic department and the museum with, a lot of different events, celebrating Eddie Robinson and the Grambling legacy. So I'm grateful for that. And I think just having the exposure on a larger level from a corporate perspective has helped in that. And as you know, we've been able to bring, at least one event over to the College Football Hall of Fame for my grandfather's 100th celebration.
Can you describe to us what it's like to be a descendant of Coach Robinson?
Well, what's interesting, Jeremy, is that he's Papa to us, at the end of the day. I mean, he, again, having grown up in the house with him, I watch him come home every day and, eat his lunch and then go back to work and come home and have dinner with all of us and then watch films late into the night. But he incorporated us in everything. I don't feel like, to look at his career, you would think he was absent as a family man, and that's just not the case. We went on trips with them. And when I say trips, I mean to football games. We didn't have vacation. Football season was our vacation. So, they would check us out of school early on Fridays to go and ride behind the bus to get to wherever Grambling was playing next. But, he was just, even if he was watching film or watching football on TV or whatever it was, he still took the time to cater to his family. And so it's really, when you think about it, phenomenal that he was able to feed into us and also feed into all of the players that he had, because all of them will tell you he was like a father figure to them too. So I really don't understand how he was able to do all of that. And then, to meet people who say they've met him before. And the running theme is typically that people will say he made them feel like they were the only person in the room, because he was that engaged. So it's really just a phenomenal person, he and my grandmother. And we had just a great upbringing.
So what advice would you give to the next generation of women in sports, business, or any other profession?
It's been such a great time for women, because we're at a point where we are making our mark in society. We're unafraid, we're unapologetic, we're more confident than ever. So it is a great time to see, especially women in sports, really, that, for sports, especially like football, that have, over time been dominated by men, obviously, as players and coaches. And, typically just you see, sideline reporters from time to time. So to be able to see women breaking that barrier and breaking the rules to really have roles across the board is exciting to see.
What do HBCUs need to continue to do to thrive? With students, and HBCUs have to get this message across, but students need to understand that they can get just as quality in education and an experience and come out with a profitable career as they would if they went to a PWI. So I think that's the most important thing for them to understand, so that we can get top talent, not just top talented athletes, but those in academics as well. I mean, I work in I came out of Grambling with a computer science degree, and all the confidence that I was taught at home and at school, and I could stand toe to toe with anybody who has a PWI from anywhere. So the students coming out of high school need to understand that they can do and have anything that they want from an HBCU just as well as a PWI. I think that in itself will help us to thrive. We also need to, really take a strong look at alumni giving and partnerships with corporations, because we need the money. Last question for you. Who has the best homecoming and why?
Well, okay, so every school is going to boast that they have the best homecoming. But for me, and I have to say Grambling, because that's where I've been to, most of them have been at Grambling for me. And then I've had the opportunity to serve on the homecoming committee
for the last several years. So why would I say any other homecoming if I'm planning one? So it's got to be Grambling for me. Again, I'm hard pressed to think about a homecoming that I've missed. So yeah, it's Grambling all day.
Thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.